just 10 days away from the start of the NFL draft, and all eyes continue to be on what the Patriots do at number 3. Welcome into Patriots Today by Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham. J.J. McCarthy makes his top 30 visit to Foxborough. We'll talk about that. Also, Tee Higgins believes he's staying in Cincinnati. Is that going to be the case? What does that mean for New England's pursuit of a top wide receiver? We'll tie in the latest with Brandon Ayuk as well. Lots to get into here on today's show. But listen, we got to get more likes than Commanders today. They picked up 487. We got none so far because this video just published as you're watching it. So let's get 500 plus. Let's take them down. They got the number 2 pick. We got the number 3 pick here at Patriots Today. Let's make it happen. Like this video if you want to take them down. Okay, Tom Pelissero with the note that the Patriots are having dinner with J.J. McCarthy tonight. This was last night, by the way, Sunday night, and we'll host them on a visit Monday in Foxborough. New England, who owns the number 3 pick, previously hosted Maye, Jayden Daniels, now more time with McCarthy. You look at the timeline here. I think the Patriots have done this pretty smart. They've tried to space this out. Obviously, Maye and Daniels were a little closer together, but you don't want clouded vision. You don't want to be thinking about another quarterback when you have someone else in the building. So, like, hey, Drake Maye, got a day or two with him. We're going to focus on him. Jayden Daniels, now J.J. McCarthy. Now, does the old phrase of the last visit wins apply here? I don't really think so. A lot of this is just when are these guys visiting other teams and how does the schedule line up, yada, yada, yada. So I wouldn't look too deeply into that. Like, oh, McCarthy gets the last visit. Is that who they're leaning? I think it's more of just, hey, they're doing thorough homework. They're looking into all these guys. It's going to come down to one of these 3 players if they do indeed stay at that number 3 pick, which I do think is the likely scenario. Adam Schefter even said the other day on a podcast that he would be surprised if they traded down. Obviously, we at Patriots Today aren't as high on J.J. McCarthy, but obviously did some good things in college, took over as the full-time starter in 2022, takes good care of the football. He's a good athlete. He's got the intangible stuff you look for. I mean, teams rave about his leadership and his competitive nature and stuff like that. The question I have and just have had and continue to have is, is he a guy that you could say, hey, go win us a game and you're the main reason why? In college, he didn't really have to do that. Don't believe me? Look at the raw numbers. Despite playing 3 more games than Drake Maye and Jayden Daniels, you're talking about less than 700 yards less passing than, or 600 and change less than Drake Maye, almost 1,000 less than Jayden Daniels, who also ran for over 1,000. And obviously the touchdowns, smaller volume too. The point is, he was kind of I don't know what you want to call a notch above a game manager at Michigan, because he definitely made some big-time plays in key moments, but he was a advanced bus driver, if you will. They didn't ask him to throw 40, 50 times a game, whereas these other guys, if you want to throw Caleb Williams in there too, had to do. Now, is that McCarthy's fault? No, but I think it's a fair question to ask. Like, hey, in the NFL, when you get in these battles with these other big-time teams and offenses, can you go throw for 350 and 3 or 4 scores to give us a chance to win? I have questions. I have some doubts there. We know he'll take care of the football likely. We know he's a competitor and a leader and all that. Is that worthy of the number 3 pick? For me, it's not. Maybe the Patriots disagree. What is your one-word reaction, or what would it be if the Patriots drafted J.J. McCarthy? I'd be disappointed. I don't expect it. I know there's been a lot of buzz, and I do think he'll go high. I think he'll go top 10 for sure, maybe top 5. I had someone tell me at the NFL Combine that there's no chance he falls out of the top 10. And the buzz has only grown from there. So I do think he'll go high. I don't think the Patriots will do this, though, because I just think it's so clear that Daniels and Maye are clearly better options, and you're going to have access to one of those players. Here's Jordan Reed from ESPN, one of their draft analysts on McCarthy. He says, so while McCarthy is projected as a top 10 pick, I think number 2 is too high, talking about Washington potentially being in the mix. The Vikings, Broncos, or Raiders via trade-up are viewed as more likely landing spots for him. Look, the good news is we're getting closer to a resolution. Whether we like that resolution or not, whatever it ends up being, we're 10 days away. The NFL draft is almost here. The rumors are going to be running rampant. News is going to be dropping. Big boards, mocks from us and others are going to be out there. So subscribe, because we're going to cover and react to all of it here on Patriots Today. Do not miss out on everything surrounding the New England Patriots between now and the draft, because It's about to be wild in Foxborough. Hit that sub button. Let's try to get to 11,000 ASAP. All right, coming up is a Tee Higgins trade off of the table. Obviously, the Patriots have been rumored to trying to pursue a veteran wide receiver. We'll talk about that. But first, Prize Picks, today's sponsor here at Patriots Today by Chat Sports. Listen, you could argue that when the NFL season is not in session, this is the best time of year. You got the NBA playoffs getting going, NBA play-in tournament, NHL playoffs just around the corner. You've got MLB baseball well underway as well. And Prize Picks has also launched their season-long projections for certain players as well. You can play different sports. You can do day-to-day action, the season-long stuff, whatever the case may be. The season-long we have is the more than on Christian McCaffrey rush yards plus more on Patrick Mahomes and C.J. Stroud passing touchdowns there. 10 to win 50 there. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS. That'll get you a $100 deposit match, which, hey, that gives you a little extra money to kind of dip your feet into the water, if you will, and kind of figure out what plays you like, what statistical categories you're hitting on more often than not. Go check it out. It's a great time to get involved with Prize Picks. Daily fantasy made easy. Takes less than 90 seconds to create an account, less than 60 seconds to make an entry. Get started today. Get in on the fun of all of these big games. Okay, is Tee Higgins staying in Cincinnati this upcoming season? He was at a football camp and did a little kind of media Q&A, and he was asked straight up if he expects to be in Cincinnati moving forward, and he said for 2024, quote, "I do anticipate it." So as of now, based on what he believes is going on, he thinks he will be in Cincinnati. Now, I think tone and body language and these things are important. I think he thinks that they're just keeping him on the tag. I don't think he's really expecting a long-term commitment from Cincinnati. And if that doesn't come, a trade is still on the table. Like, if a team gives the Bengals an offer they can't refuse leading up to the draft or on draft day, I still think him getting moved is a real possibility. And I still think the Patriots being a team that trades for him is a possibility as well, maybe leading into that Friday of the NFL draft after round one plays out. Here for me in Rappaport, the note earlier that Devontae Smith got his 3-year, $75 million extension with $51 million guaranteed to stay in Philadelphia. I do want to tie in this as well because how does Tee Higgins respond to that? How does Brandon Ayuk respond to that? Because to me, if you're Ayuk and Higgins, whether the league agrees with you or not, but I believe if I'm one of those players, I'm better than Devontae Smith. So now my price tag, the floor is 3 for $75, $25 million per year. I think Tee Higgins has more potential as a true number one than Devontae Smith. Now, I would argue also that Smith might be a better number two, but for the Patriots specifically, they need a number one. So, you know, if you're going to trade for him, I think you got to pay him $26 per year at least to keep him, because I think the baseline for kind of that next tier receiver just below like the Jamar Chases, what he's going to get, Justin Jefferson, et cetera, Tyreek Hill, I think the floor is $25 million now, and I think Tee Higgins is in that category. So we'll see what happens. I don't think the Bengals are paying him $25 a year, considering having to pay Burrow and Jamar Chase, and that could lead to a trade, even though he did just say that he thinks he'll be in Cincinnati this year. Will Tee Higgins get traded? Type Y for yes or type N for no. I still think there's a good chance he will, especially if the Bengals feel like they can move up and go get his replacement in the draft. Let us know what you think. Y for yes or N for no. For the Patriots, you obviously still need that number one guy. Kendrick Bourne, I think it's a serviceable, solid number two. I like Douglas in the slot. Osborne's a good rotation guy that can play slot or outside. But you bring that true number one in here, like Tee Higgins, who, sure, there's questions because he's been mostly a number two opposite of Jamar Chase, but I think he's got that potential. Either way, he helps your room tremendously, and the domino effect plays in. Everybody slides down a notch. Their roles get adjusted, and all of a sudden, one player can make the difference in thinking, okay, this wide receiver is a bottom third, bottom five, bottom six unit in the league to top 12, top 15. One player can make that big of a difference, and I think Tee Higgins can certainly be that guy. I definitely think Brandon Ayuk's that guy, because I think he unseated Deebo Samuel last year as the number one. Now, he plays along Kittle, Samuel, so it helps. He's not going to have that in New England necessarily, but I think with Ayuk's route running and ability to separate consistently, he's for sure a number one. We don't really know what's going on there. We know that there's been contract disputes. There was a report that he requested a trade, and then his agent came out and said there wasn't a trade request. So who knows? There's rumors flying all over the place. Those are going to continue to run rampant through the draft because remember, these trades typically happen before the draft or during the draft because teams don't necessarily want future capital. So if the draft comes and goes, it lowers the possibility of a trade at least somewhat significantly. Now, can that change if a player requests a trade in training camp or holds out? Sure, that could certainly happen. But if the Patriots are going to make a move, these next 10 to 12 days between now and the end of the draft, this is kind of the time. So we'll see how active Eliot Wolf and company are in trying to bring in one of these guys, or maybe there's another receiver they're eyeing that we aren't talking about. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Patriots Today. 10 days. We're getting close. We'll continue to cover you with everything surrounding this team leading up to the draft. So subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.